Why don't we go into the next big one where you already started to venture, the Great Depression, the Dust Bowl? I mean, that's kind of etched in our brains as a point in history, right?
You're so right. The wind and the dust and the loss and all the things from that era. I mean, it makes you think of a John Steinbeck novel, the way that our farmers and our farm families paid the cost of the economic upheaval. So here's what happened. There was a brief period where people were actually returning from the city to the country because unemployment was so high in the city that they wanted to come back to the farm to see if they could make it go there. So the number of farmers just very briefly climbed in the early 1930s and then began to fall again. So after falling in the 1920s during the Ag Depression and climbing briefly, it began to fall again because the weight of the Great Depression was just too much. The number of farm bankruptcies, tens of thousands of bankruptcies, just swept through the country and plunged us into a deep, deep hole. And it's one we've never gotten out of. So we've actually lost farms every single decade since that time period. So when you go from the early 1900s to today, when I say we've lost 45,000 farms per year, it really was a trend that was set in permanence during the Great Depression. You had a mix of government and private sector action to pull us out, and we really didn't come out of it completely until World War II. My grandpa, we tell the story of him growing up in 2 decades of poverty, 1 decade because of the agricultural depression and 2 decades because of the Great Depression. And it's something that really set our country back, and it also brought our food supply to its knees, right? I mean, this was a time when people were having a hard time finding the food they needed to eat, and farmers were having a hard time finding a way to be able to make a living. And so the Great Depression, in many ways, exemplifies some of the problems that we still have to this day.